Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm DearMYRTLE, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mini-Myrt, where we are going to be talking to Barbara at Projectkin. You hear me talking about her all the time. Barbara, I'm literally on the road to RootsTech in a hotel room somewhere near the Seattle-Tacoma airport. What's happening online with our ride-along friends?
Well, we're all beavering away, as my Canadian friends taught me to say, beavering away on our research and planning and prepping and reading and learning. It's good times out here in online land. Or as my husband once put it, in kinland. I kind of like that.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Very interesting. Well, on social media, I did share that I got to have some really great crab cakes at Ray's Boathouse out at the end of Shilshoe Bay, looking into Puget Sound. I literally got a sunburn on that side of my face, Barbara, because we're not used to sun this time of year.
Don't go out much.
I know. Like, we stay in what Randy calls our Genia caves. That's how he refers to it. And yeah, but mine has an annex for the quilting. But anyway, we digress. So you and I have been so busy behind the scenes doing things that we never get to talk about what is this whole concept about the ride along. Why are we doing this?
Well, I think, as many folks know, I started my first dabbling at RootsTech was in 2020. And I was there on site. It was very, very exciting. We were there to launch our startup, except we didn't have software. It wasn't quite ready yet, which happens to software companies. And so we went quietly home, all of us sick, by the way, with colds and whatnot. Wow. And then, of course, we had the shutdown. And we didn't actually have software until 2021. And we just landed in the middle of the entire, really a very special period of time, I think, on reflection of family research during the pandemic. And fast forward, as often happens with startups, it is no more. That itself is an entire conversation. But 2023 forward, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to RootsTech anytime soon, bunch of reasons, but I wanted to be there. I wanted to feel the feels. And so the idea of a ride along came along, and I've just always been pinching out to folks that are going to be there, hey. And then this happened, you and me and all of the communities that we represent.
Totally.
And it is all about, riding along, doing it together. Maybe it's the West, the sense of the Old West. Many of us doing research on mid-19th century and that sort of thing. But you do get that feeling of the pioneer days. Going along for the ride on the road trip, the classic American road trip, and doing it with a friend. And the idea of doing RootsTech with a friend, especially a friend where you've got both sides of the equation, somebody who's just like in front of the big computer, and
like you.
Yeah, I got my two screens, and somebody who is there on site talking to everybody.
Me. Yeah, like and everything. Yes.
Yeah.
When I was talking with Lisa Rex yesterday, was it only yesterday?
Gosh. Great interview.
Yeah, that was a lot of packing of suitcases ago in my mind. Anyway, I think she was the one that said she was interested in watch parties. And I know that RootsTech has them relative to one specific class as distinct from another. But it's actually possible, folks, with the RootsTech Ride Along to Barbara will help broker that. Let me pull this up and show you. This is our RideAlongPartners.org. Getting better.
Yes.
Getting better. And you'll want to check this out. Now, I'm in a hotel room, limited internet, stuff like that. I always try to bring things up to share them so that you get the brand recognition. And I got to tell you, I said, Barbara, how about a logo that has GeneaBloggers and Projectkin and the Ride Along in the middle, and look what she developed. A whole entire...
Literally.
You did. And we appreciate that because that's just beautiful. And this is what they're going to look for at our booth at 1600. That's the booth number.
1600 Society Hall. I mean,
Yes.
Does that not sound fancy?
It does.
I think one needs one's blogger beads just to enter Society Hall. Never mind to get promoted up to. Do you bring a calling card to 1600 Society Hall?
Anyway, so for you're going to be marshaling all the excitement among those who are the virtual attendees.
I am your designated nerd.
Oh, I love it. And then I get to meet all kinds. I'm just hanging out at the booth the whole time. Unless I'm half dead or I need to powder my nose occasionally. But other than that,
stay hydrated.
Yes. Oh, definitely. That's one thing we have to remember when we go to Utah. It's very dry there.
Very dry. And you're talking
a lot. The things that I'm looking forward to is giving people, I brought my laminated tags to put on any kind of a blogger bead. I have some of those, but I mostly made a bunch of these. And even if a person never heard of Projectkin or GeneaBloggers until they came around to our booth, I'm making them a member because they want to share the stories and preserve the memories.
Hey, membership is free.
Yep,
and all we're asking is, A, do you have a family? B, do you have a story?
Yeah.
So everybody's got a family. And if they don't want to talk about that, there's a story. They do want to talk about that, there's a story. They only want to talk about a little of it, there's a story. And I think that's what it's all about. And I think I come from the tech space. And I have literally had my hands in platforms. I feel extremely strongly about platform independence. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is, all these things that want you to tell their story and share them on their site are all about their benefit from your sharing your story. I want people to understand the power of telling their story, even if they're putting it in a journal and putting it on the shelf. And tell someone that the journal is there, they don't want they're on their phone. And how the technical things of how to preserve that. Yeah, they are nerdy. Let me go talk to your kid. I'll explain it. Whatever it is. Or how you need to know this, and it's not that hard.
Well, and I want to say something too. Some people say, well, none of my family cares about this. Do it anyway. Here's why. Mr. Myrt is a Civil War nut, Civil War history nut. In fact, he's designing a war game concerning the Civil War. A lot of those retired military people like to still do strategy and tactics of war gaming, but not with real bullets. It's with big, huge maps that take up 2 dining room tables, etc. So when we went to do research on his person who was in the 31st Iowa, and we knew where he had been at Vicksburg, Union, and we knew where he had been on the March to the Sea, and but he did. That soldier did not leave a journal. But when we went to Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, they don't ask you, who's your ancestor? They say, what unit was he in? And we could say, 31st Iowa Company, whatever. They pulled up the digital images of somebody else in 31st Iowa, slightly different company, but companies, they're just another tent or two away in that on that rainy day.
Yeah.
And so when that person wrote about the rainy day,
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't like our guys were that far apart. The experiences that soldiers preserved are valuable to us. So when somebody like you, Barbara, writes about your ancestor in a certain place, and maybe they describe what it was like when you had to wait to have somebody shoe your horse or something like that, or wait for the vet to come around, or whatever it was, when the railroad finally came through so that things were easy, commodities were easier to get to market and to receive from Sears Roebuck. Remember that? Oh my God.
Oh, I do. The wish book.
So the things that you tell about that place in that time can be more likely the experience that my ancestry from the same area had. I mean, if there's only 50 people in town, they had to know each other, kind of a thing. And so I'm thankful when you tell the story, thankful when you remember these things that have come down through the family. Some of them not too reliable, but others, there's some truth to it, don't you think?
And we have today, and will in the future, have access to more collateral information about that moment in that muddy tent field and whatever else it is. Each of us that is called to write, called to tell the stories in any form at all, including right into a video camera, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. You're doing the thing that you need to do. And I'm telling you, it's important. And going ahead and getting that down, especially when you understand the purity of telling the stories, especially the stories where you can, you've separated yourself from the story itself. It's not about your ego selling something or sharing how wonderful you are. It's the larger story of, this is what I've learned. These are the stories of our ancestors. And you're sharing those nuggets of resilience, because it's by definition resilience. I mean, we're here because they lived.
This is true. This is true. I want to share one story. Years ago, I taught a beginning genealogy class. And one of the husbands came along with his wife. You could tell she had twisted his arm. He really wasn't into it. He didn't think of himself as a scholar by any means. In fact, if he had a GED, I'd be surprised. But he was well known in his community back north for being a very honest contractor. And he built churches. He was a general contractor, different denominations. And I was totally surprised. He was a snowbird from Florida back to Ohio. When he came back, he brought these two huge, like 3-ring binders that were like 4 inches thick. And he said, "Here, this is what I found." And some of the pages were printed on an old 9-pin printer, because that was the technology, on yellow sheets of paper. Now, if you remember 9-pin printers, they had those little hole sprockets or holes that would correspond
to that paper. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So he had to actually hand feed that yellow regular printer paper. We didn't have very good printers, or we didn't have copy machines at home. Anyway, so I asked him about that, and he said, "Well, those are the things that I remember about my mother, and her favorite color was yellow." So I read it, and he said, "I want you to pretty it up." And I came back to him with tears in my eyes the next week after the class, and I said, "This story is perfect the way you've told it and the way that you've printed it, because it's the colloquialisms, it's the it's the phrases. I didn't say colloquialisms. I said it's the phrases your family uses, and from where you were in that part of the country versus where I was raised in a different part of the country. Your voice comes through beautifully. And that's why people, like you say, don't need to have an ego and worry about it. Just tell it like you're telling Myrt or Barbara what you know about an ancestor.
Yeah. And honestly, this tool we're using right here, yeah, we're live streaming all over the planet, blah, blah, blah. But video and talking to a person is one of the most powerful ways to capture a story in the old fashioned way. It's like a recorded campfire, except that there is no fire. We can see each other clearly, and it's captured forever if we're paying attention to how we're doing it. I'm trying very hard. Don't tell anybody. I'm trying very hard to organize I have a private podcast. Basically, it's a private Substack that wasn't straightforward to set up, and I explain how to do that. But it is a Substack created that's entirely private with just my cousins in it. Nobody else. Just my cousins. I think I've allowed spouses, but cousins and spouses and nephews and nieces and siblings and whatever.
Yeah.
We picked from a level 2 generations up, my great grandfather and below. And I'm the youngest of my generation. So my eldest cousin is going to be organizing a podcast. He's wanted to get podcast chops anyway. And so he's going to interview my brother, my sister, his brother, cousins, and so on. And so you remember that time at Lake George? Do you know why the broken canoe capsized? Well, let me tell you what really happened. That's not what happened. And then you capture the whole thing. Does anybody care? On the outside world, I don't want them to care. I don't want them to know. It's none of their business. Because the story itself is so much more authentic when it's captured just for us.
Just for the immediate.
Us. Yeah. And when it passes down and we are gone, that just for us can mean so much more to generations later that we don't need to know.
They're going to giggle over our technology.
Exactly.
And we think we're in high cotton. This is nothing yet. We haven't seen anything yet.
Oh my goodness, no. I like to talk about what happens 30 years from now. Oh, yeah. I mean, most of us are really, come on, let's be serious. 30, 40, 50 years from now, we're not here.
Yeah.
And our grandchildren's grandchildren, let's jump 4 generations. What are they going to do? All the work that we've done today is miraculous compared to 4 generations back. But 4 generations ahead, we're still talking about the same people. So we kind of have settled, whether it was 1792 or 1793. And the baptism record, we got it all. So what are they looking at? It's the stories that are interesting. It's the stories that are going to relate. It's the stories that carry the heart. And I think that's the important thing, because that'll explain a lot more about what's going on around us today than anything we could explain.
You know that I can't keep these conversations to 5 to 6 minutes. But I have to say one more thing.
It's not me.
So the National Genealogical Society and Family Search and a consortium of genealogists and medical professionals and people who specialize in the care of the elderly, particularly as elderly people begin to lose their memory of what happened this morning, but they're really good on things 50 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They have discovered that if we share a picture, even if the caregiver knows about that picture and brings it in and talks to the person and says, gee, those are cute kids, and that one's got a basketball. What that does is That's something that can be a successful conversation, whether it's the caregiver or the family member visiting, because then they can still see the light of their older person. And I can say that because I'm getting to be the older person. I choke on the words, but
Oh,
the impact, the neurological awakening that occurs when photos are scanned and we share them, or whatever it is,
right.
printed out, whatever it
Right.
takes, and then they can tell that story
Yeah.
and share with you. That's the whole concept. About
Reminiscence
how
therapy.
to age, how that's like the intersection of family history and our aging baby boomers, for
Yeah.
instance. I guess
Yeah.
that's the way to,
Because I think, I cared for my mom through the end of
yeah.
her life with dementia.
Yes.
And the it's when you focus on what's the goal, what's the problem to solve, what are you trying, what is the goal here. We know how this movie ends.
Yeah.
We understand that. The question is about quality of life, and giving them a means to enjoy that path, and remembering the name of the great grandchild can actually be very, very hard, especially
Hmm.
when that child was an infant the last time you saw them and now they're a toddler. No, yeah, they probably don't really remember them, and that's okay. That's actually okay. It's important for the toddler to know who they're touching and who they're photographed with, but the really important thing is the quality of life of that human being that's there. and
Not
and
not telling him you're wrong. It's not Agatha. It's Agnes. The old names are coming back, by the way.
I know, they're so cute.
I know. I
But anyway,
totally
it's
get it.
such a fascinating area. We can talk more. We did a talk about this a long time ago at Project Kin with a wonderful woman who is uh who's been a nurse, a geriatric nurse, and a genealogist. And you combine those two skills and really look at the experience of working with elderly, and in her case specifically dementia patients,
Hmm.
and focus on quality of life,
And make it
um,
happy. Make it
and make it
happy.
happy. And
Yep.
along the way, you may learn a lot of things about history you didn't know about by just
Oh
taking the
man,
time to listen.
my dad was very forthcoming. I was surprised. I was surprised. And also, as I'd give him his meds, he'd say, "Why are you giving me these?" And I finally said, "Dad, I'm trying to kill you off." And he roared and loved it. These are just, I knew I could do that because of the
Yeah.
relationship. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
normally go around saying that to people, but I look back and remember those very tender times, and it was the memory of things we've done. In fact, he said to me the last time we drove off Orcas Island, and he had me arrange to have the whole family, all the children, all the grandchildren, the spouses, etc. It was a big endeavor. We took over half of one entire complex. And when we drove away and they all went their way, and I'm carrying him, well, driving him back to his home where I'd been staying and he had caregivers, he said, "Could you just stop for a minute?" And I pulled out the next exit, and he said, "Do you think they'll remember?" "Yeah, Dad, they remember. In fact, one of them lives there now, and I live very close by." Yeah, that's what they want. They want to remember those good, happy times. It's all good. Okay, now I'm in tears, and I have to get up early and continue my trek. We're doing the train. No, we're not doing trains. We're doing planes and automobiles. Tomorrow we get on a flight between Seattle and Salt Lake, and there will be Mondays with Myrt on Monday, direct from the third floor glass enclosed nerve center at
Woohoo!
the Family Search Library, right outside, across from the elevator, next to the administrative offices.
Well,
Mr.
I'm already hearing exciting people getting ready to stand in line.
Yeah, Mr. Myrt will have his usual clipboard, and people just sign in, and he sends odd groups of random people he kidnaps to come in 3 or 4 at a time. And I said, what the heck are you doing here? RootsTech doesn't start until Thursday.
They're in the library. These are my people.
Yes, it's just wonderful. Anyway, we're going to have fun then. And I look forward to sending you text messages. I will be text messaging back and forth with you as I am aware of things, and you do the same with me. And we'll take it away and continue with the calendar of events as it progresses through the week.
You bet. And a quick shout out to anybody anywhere within the sound of my voice. If you've got news to tell and stories and things that are happening around RootsTech, send them my way. RideAlongPartners.org/ad. There's a little form. I listen. I'm like, ding, ding. I wake up. What? And I add it to the website because I got nothing to do. That's what I do.
And it's a way to expand the reach. Now, there are some things they may not want to share with you, like you mentioned, that are personal.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to share candid shots of our family dinner on Monday night at my sister's house because they're personal.
Yeah.
And I'd have to get disclosure agreements from everybody.
Yeah. But also, and I am making the executive decision to focus on our stories as attendees, as people, not as vendors pitching a story.
Yeah.
And hey, I respect a vendor. I gotta say, been there, done that. But this is separate. And this is like, the name tags come off and you're just sitting around the table having tea and talking story.
It's our podcasters, our videographers, our writers from both communities collaborating. Well, doing our thing is normal, but because of the collaboration you and I set up, and mostly you, we can expand our reach among other people. And after this, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have joint meetings to talk about, I've got a new podcast idea, but I've never done it before. What are the pros and cons? That kind of a question. And we'll have more discussions like that to support each other, lift each other up as they call us now. Well, they called us bloggers at first, then they called us influencers. Now we're genealogy content producers. Who knows what they're going to call us next week? I don't know. All right, I'm cutting it off. We have been on the phone on Substack for 30 minutes. It's been a good time talking with you. Thank you so much for all that you've done. And I'm talking to you. Catch you later.
Okay. Bye now.
Folks. All right, folks, there's nothing left to say, but I'm DearMYRTLE, your very tired and not so retired genealogist friend. Gosh, I can't even say my own tagline already. And it hasn't even started yet. But anyway, happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.